Hey everybody, welcome back. This is our second live cooking class with the comfort foods for body and mind, or mind and body, I should say. Hope you all are doing well today. Just giving everybody a minute to get online. And based on our poll, today we are going to be making sweet potato brownies. Thank you all for participating in the poll. It was really fun to see what everybody was thinking. But I have gotten my ingredients together for the sweet potato brownies. I hope if you're cooking along with me, you have them as well. I've been answering a few questions. Thank you for those questions, by the way. They've all been good ones. And I'm going to start my oven, preheat my oven to 350 degrees. So let's get that going. All right. All right, very good. All right, so we can get started. So one of the things about sweet potato brownies is that it uses different ingredients than what we're used to. It doesn't have as much sugar, so it's not quite as sweet as some of the brownies you might be used to. But it also isn't using eggs. So this is good for people who are staying away from eggs, and it doesn't have dairy in it. So if you're staying away from dairy, this is good as well. What it does have is a different ingredient, sweet potato, which adds in some phytonutrients that you don't normally get when you're having a snack or a dessert. Sweet potatoes have beta-carotene, which is very good for our eye health as well as many other things in our body. But the way you know that beta-carotene is in something is by the color. It's orange. So carrots, for instance, have beta-carotene as well. So one of the things, the other thing too, lots of fiber and magnesium. Magnesium is such a great time, especially for now, because it helps with managing stress. So if you have an opportunity to have foods that have magnesium in them, that's a good thing. So adding that sweet potato in is good. So let's get to our recipe. Hey everybody, good to see you. Let me just say hi to Victoria and Kathy Riley, Nancy, Mary Powers, and Maureen Riley. Good to see you guys. So glad to have you on. All right. So I downloaded my recipe from the computer so that I have it handy here. The other nice thing about this brownie recipe is there's only 4 ingredients in it, making it very easy. First thing we want to do is preheat our oven like I did. We also want to prep our dish. Now, you can use any size brownie pan that you have. 7 by 7 is probably about the largest you want to go. If you have something smaller than that, that's good. I'm actually going to be using a Corning casserole dish for this. I thought I would just try it to see how that would work. So what I want to do is I just want to grease it a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. You can use butter, you can use coconut oil, anything that you have. It just helps to keep the brownies from sticking to the pan when they're done. And I'm just I've got this little silicone mop that I like to use to spread around that oil. And, all right, so we've got that nice and greased up. I'm going to leave that right here out of the way so it's not taking up any space. The next thing we want to do is prepare our sweet potatoes. Now, I had mentioned in a email and a Facebook post that if you wanted to follow along with me to try to prepare your sweet potato ahead of time. So there's a couple ways that you can do that. The recipe calls for mashed sweet potatoes. So basically what you need to do is to steam or cook a sweet potato. A sweet potato about this size, that's about what you need, 1 cup. It's about a medium, what I would say is a medium size sweet potato. Now, a quick way to do this would be to poke a couple of holes with a fork into your sweet potato, maybe coat it with a little bit of olive oil. And what I like to do is wrap it up in a paper towel to keep it moist and stick it in the microwave oven. if you do microwave ovens. So some people don't like to use microwave ovens, so I'm going to give you an alternative. That is the way I did it this time. But if you do want to do something quick and you want to get it quick, 5 minutes on high in the microwave, and you'll have a nice soft sweet potato. So what I ended up doing was I ended up using my steamer, and what I find is when I steam the sweet potatoes this way, they stay moister, which is nice. I actually cut them into about 1/2, 3/4 inch slices. You can see it's still steaming. These are all steamed. I steamed them for 15 minutes. They're nice and soft. But if you notice, I didn't even remove the skins yet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take, let's see, I'm trying to decide. I'm going to leave in my smaller, my food processor has 2 different sizes. I'm going to leave in my smaller size. And what I can do was, as I recommended, have your blade inside there. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I am just going to take my sweet potatoes. Looks like a knife would be easier to use for this. I was thinking I could use my fingers, but what I'm going to do is just remove that skin because we don't need it. And we're going to put it into the food processor, and then I'm going to pulse it a little bit first just to get things started. All right, so you can see how easy these peels are coming off just by using the knife. Now, you could peel them before you cook them, but I find that this is a very quick and easy way to get your mashed sweet potatoes. If you do the sweet potato in the microwave, like I said, it doesn't tend to come out as moist as if you steam them, but that's okay. If you find that your batter, when you're using the microwaved sweet potato, if you find the batter is too stiff, you could always add in a little bit of water, and that's fine. It loosens that batter up and helps you spread it more evenly in the pan. All right. So I peeled my potatoes now. Oops, got one more here. I'm going to just take this one last little piece, and then I can take my steamer. If you're not familiar with the steamer, all it is just a basket like this that you put over some water, and you boil up your water with the pan in and a lid on it. And like I said, 15 minutes, and you'll have fabulous sweet potatoes. If you wanted to mash them, you could mash them up, add a little bit of butter and salt, and you've got a nice side dish. Okay, so now I have my sweet potatoes in my food processor. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a pulse, get it started going. I just want to show you how nice and creamy that looks. It really is a nice ingredient to have in this. So the second ingredient then we're going to add is our cocoa powder. Now, I have a couple of things here that I wanted to show you. I have some organic cocoa powder from, actually it was from a store when I was down in Austin, H-E-B. But I know that Trader Joe's has some great ones as well. Any grocery store will have cocoa powder. What most stores, or many stores, conventional stores, might not have is cacao powder, which I actually like to use. Cacao powder is actually nothing more than raw cocoa. So either one of these will work. Cacao I like because it's less processed, it has a little bit more fiber, and the antioxidants. Cocoa is very rich in antioxidants. There's more antioxidants in the cacao powder, the raw form. Use that. The flavor is very similar. So what we want to do is we want to add in a 1/4 cup of our cocoa powder. All right, I'm just going to pour this in. Oh, I like to store them in mason jars when I get them, just for convenience. All right, so I'm going to add that in. What I'm going to do too, and this is just a little tip that I found, when I'm adding things that are so powdery like this, I'm going to mix it in a little bit with the sweet potato, just with a spatula here, so it doesn't go flying all over the place when I start mixing again. All right. Hopefully save a little bit of a mess. Okay. All right. Oh, that smells good already. Okay, so we've added our cocoa. And now what's going to make this dish creamy is the addition of a nut butter. And I like to use almond butter. You can use sun butter. You could use cashew butter. I don't like to use peanut butter. I stay away from the peanut butter, the legume. But I actually, yesterday, this is a new jar, it was so settled. And that's the thing with when you get natural almond butters, they do tend to settle. You'll want to mix it up ahead of time. This was so thick yesterday. I spent about 15 minutes just mixing it up. But now, as you can see, it is creamy, and I can actually just pour what I want into the recipe, which is a half cup. So I've got my half cup of almond butter now. I'm going to set that aside. All right. And again, since this is such a great ingredient, I like to make sure I'm getting every last bit. Awesome. There we go. All right. Okay. So we've got our sweet potato. We've got our cocoa powder. We've got our almond butter. And now for a little bit of sweetness. So what I have here is actually, we have a friend that actually knows someone who has maple trees and makes their own maple syrup. So I'm going to use a little bit of maple syrup. If you don't have maple syrup, you can also use honey. That's a good sweetener as well. If you do use maple syrup, make sure you're getting real maple syrup, because a lot of the pancake syrups that you get, if you look at them, they don't actually contain maple in them. They're just high fructose corn syrup with coloring added to it. So what we want to do is we want to get some of that goodness and flavor. If we're going to add sweetness, we want to get some nutrition and natural flavors in there. So I'm just going to add in 2 tablespoons of the maple syrup. Okay, and guess what? That's it. Those are all the ingredients that we need. That was pretty quick, right? Aside from just doing that sweet potato, that was, whoops, excuse me, that was the longest, or that it would take, or the most difficult ingredient, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that we will be using. All right, so what I'm going to do then, let's just cap this off, and I'm just going to let it pulse. It's always a good idea to check it in between and see how it's doing, and it's doing very well. Give it a little bit more of a mix. How's everybody doing? Following along? All right, is anybody making the recipe today? You don't have to be making it now. I was just curious. This makes such a nice treat, something to look forward to. All right, I'm going to take this out now. All right, and I'm just going to set this to the side. I'm just going to pull the plug out and get it out of our way. All righty then. So let's get this out of the way too. All right, we now have our batter, and I just want to show you the consistency of it. Can you see? It's kind of thick, but brownie batters tend to be thick. Now, if it doesn't have this nice creamy consistency and this thickness, you might want to add a little bit of liquid before you take the batter and put the batter into your pan. All right, so I'm just going to spoon this into my pan. And like I said, this one is probably about 5.5 or 6 inches square. I think that's probably pretty ideal for this one. When you do it with a 7x7, you'll get thinner brownies. They're still delicious. But depending on whether you want them thinner or not, pick your pan accordingly, or use the pan that you have. All right. Oh, this is looking good. And it smells really good too. I wish you could smell it. Okay. All righty. Okay. Now, if I was doing this at home, I am at home, but if I was doing this on my own, I would probably scrape out even more of this container. But since we're all watching and waiting, I think what I will do is I'm going to show you how I'm spreading it around. You can see the thickness of it now. Let me spread it around. I want to get it into the corners there. Oh, good. Okay, put that there. All right, so here's what we've got so far. Now, I just want to show you a little trick, something fun to do. Impress all your friends. If you have a thick batter like this, sometimes what's fun to do is just to take a fork and put some patterns through the top and give it a little swirl. Let's see if you can see that. Can you see a little swirls I put on top? Just to make it a little bit fun. Okay, so we now have our oven up to temperature. We're going to put this in for about 12 to 15 minutes. Here's the thing. Brownies are, the type of thing when you're baking, it's kind of hard to know if it's done in the middle because it will stay moist. I usually go by firmness. If the center feels firm after 12 minutes, chances are pretty good that it's done. So let me put it into the oven. I'm going to come down here, put it in. And luckily, my oven works really quickly, so we won't have to wait long. In fact, I think it's done. Okay. Notice I could take this out without burning my hands even. Okay, so I made some brownies ahead of time. So here's the ones that we have made. You can see little squiggles on top that I did. And wait, what? Okay, well, okay, so I made them last night and my family begged me to be able to have some. And like most brownies, it's very hard to keep them from everybody. So we did get to taste them, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to cut a couple of these so you can see what they look like and what the consistency is like. Now, this again is a bigger tray. This is 7x7. So you can get 16 small brownies or 8 medium or 4 big ones. So if you wanted to do 8 brownies, they would probably be about 2x1. I like to make 1x1 brownies. So then if I go back for a second one, I feel like I'm only eating a little bit. But so with this, you can see the thickness of it. It's a thin brownie, but it's nice, it's moist, it's fudgy. So it's not cake-like, which I really like. But the consistency of it is great. The flavor is delicious. It's not overly sweet, but it's satisfying. You get this nice, rich, chocolatey flavor with it. So I'm hoping that you all, I'm just going to rinse my hands here, get a chance to try this fabulous recipe. Let us know how you do and what you think about it. And tomorrow we are going to, and I also wanted to thank Debbie Miller, for suggesting that I put out, or gave me the idea to put out a suggestion that you all follow along with us. So maybe tomorrow when Mary Ellen is making her chili, we have a black bean chili with sweet potato again. Maybe that would inspire you to get your ingredients out. And even if you don't cook along with her, have them all ready so that when the cooking class is done, you'll be ready to make your own batch. So hope you all are staying safe and staying well. We enjoy cooking with you. We look forward to hearing your comments and seeing your photos. I did receive some photos from yesterday's recipes that I'm going to be posting on the Facebook page here today. So take a look back and contribute. We'd love to see what you're making. And until later, happy cooking and have a good comfort food.